And ladies and gentlemen, let's bring out our next bout of the evening, Dan Busch.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and we are back here at River City Casino. Jeremy Johnson, along with my partner, it's Ryan Sutton, as we have coming to the cage. It is Dan Busch. He makes his way to the cage tonight by Arnold BJJ. Dan Busch is one of those type of fighters who looks to get the ground and pound. He loves it. He loves to keep the pressure. He is coming off his first professional win, and he looks to keep that going tonight against a very, very tough Andrew Ebers.
Yet, Dan Busch is a guy, he's actually been around on the scene a long time, had a little bit of a layoff, then came back, fired up, started off his pro career with a win, and now he's looking to keep that momentum moving forward and just keep that pro career rising and rising.
This is definitely a very, very tough test for Andrew Ebers, who will be making his way here in just a bit. Now, Dan Busch told me he started off as a barroom brawler, which is one of those things that, you know, it leads to the old school days of MMA where everybody jumped in the ring to see who was the best guy with whatever style or whatever they used. Now, Dan Busch has definitely taken his career to the next level here as he is making, again, as I said, he has yet to taste defeat as a pro, so he is looking to keep that streak alive tonight.
Yeah, anytime coming in as a brawler, you've got fight in you.
And let's bring out his opponent tonight, Andrew Ebers.
Making his way to the cage tonight from the Wolves Den. They call him Andrew, they call him Mop Jitsu. He is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Andrew Ebers is a very, very tough fighter, making his professional debut tonight. So let's go to our tale of the tape. Dan Busch, 28 years old, 5'10", 160 pounds, out of New Smyrna, Florida. Mop Jitsu, he is 27, 6'1", 160.8 pounds, out of Wentzville, Missouri. Now, this is a very interesting test for Dan Busch. Andrew Ebers is a very legit Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt.
Yeah, you are going to see polar opposites here tonight. You've got someone coming in with a background and a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu against a guy with no background really in any combat sports other than basically being a third-generation MMA guy. His first fights stepping in, being pure MMA fights, learning on the job, and getting the job done. Let's see if Ebers can take that aggression and use a disadvantage, just like Jiu-Jitsu players have been doing for hundreds of years.
And as you will notice, in the corner here of Andrew Ebers is our co-main event fighter, Arian Zekti. They are training partners at the Wolves Den, and we know how good Arian's Jiu-Jitsu is. Now let's see what Andrew Ebers can do.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight, fighting out of the blue corner this evening, he stands 5 feet 10 inches tall, weighs in at 160.2 pounds. Fighting out of Florida, Dan Busch. His opponent tonight, fighting from across the cage out of the red corner this evening. He stands 6 feet 1 inches tall. He weighs in at 160.8 pounds. Fighting out of Wentzville, Missouri, Andrew Ebers.
Both guys look intense, ready to get this contest underway. Dan Busch looks to be a little bit more of the physically in shape fighter, but don't let that fool you with the jiu-jitsu strength of Andrew Ebers.
Now, Ebers has a very interesting style of fighting here. Hands out very long, tries to stay at distance. Now we'll see what it comes down to. Playing into the clinch game here with a black belt. If he can get this to the ground, trying that head and arm position there, looking for the back take. There it is.
Yeah, that's a very classic jiu-jitsu takedown. Get the over-under, outside step. You can't get that, rotate your hips through. It's a very safe takedown for jiu-jitsu guys because if they lose position and wind up on their back.
This is not where Dan Busch wants to be.
Not at all. That's a deep choke. That is deep from a high-level fighter, Jeremy. This could be a short night for Dan Busch.
Busch is trying to fight the hands here, trying to make every effort to stay with this. He's holding on pretty, but that is so tight.
Just pure will right
Very
there.
Nice.
Pure will got him out of that position, and Ebers still glued to him. Unfortunately for Dan Busch, though.
Now, Ebers is definitely staying in very tight. He's got that body triangle locked in. Again, he is trying to sit back, keep the pressure, and stop the breathing here with this of Dan Busch. Again goes to the rear naked choke.
That's what I was going to say. Unfortunately, he defended one, but he's still glued on his back and just sank in another deep rear naked attempt.
Dan Busch's strength here, the 2-on-1, is definitely doing a good job against him. But by goodness, that is deep. Look at the face there on Dan Busch.
The grimace, he might go out here. He might go out here.
Oh my goodness. He is fighting it hard, ladies and gentlemen.
And Ebers did a smart job readjusting there. That's under the chin as deep as you can get.
Great job there from Busch to get out of that position.
Wow. Wow, heart from Dan Busch to fight out of those deep rear naked positions.
Quick push of the mouthpiece back in, and here we go.
I'd normally say, too, your arms can be exhausted from deep rear naked choke attempts like that. But with a background like Andrew Ebers, I'm sure he's been grinding away on chokes for years.
Yeah, to reach the level of black belt like he has, Mop has definitely put in the work. But you have to give your hats off to Dan Busch to survive not one, but two hefty rear naked choke attempts. But again, Andrew has that heavy, heavy body triangle locked in. And I mean, that is a tough position.
Get these guys fired up. Let's make some noise.
He really needs to find a way.
Again, here we go. Oh, this one's extremely tight.
Let's see if third time's a charm for Andrew Ebers. That is deep. The mouthpiece gets spit out.
And he's out
He's
cold.
out.
Unfortunately, that's what happens when you don't tap.
A lot of heart by Dan Busch, but just completely out-techniqued by Andrew Ebers.
What a display from Dan Busch to save himself 2 times. That third one, unfortunately, as they say, third time's a charm. He nailed that. Andrew Ebers, as we see here, very, very deep. Look at the grimace here on Dan Busch as referee John Duver is right on top of the action. The minute that he went out, it was all over.
Yeah, fighter safety, he was all over that one. You saw, though, Dan fought as hard as he physically could. He spit the mouthpiece out. That's usually the sign that things are going to go downhill from there. Grit his teeth, bared, but the lights went out on him.
Of course, he is up walking around. Everything is good. No issues whatsoever after that great job by Andrew Ebers to finish his professional debut. So let's send it up to the cage to Stephen Baer to give us our results.
Ladies and gentlemen, this bout has ended. 2 minutes and 55 seconds of the first round. Your winner, due to a rear naked choke out of the red corner, Andrew Ebers.
Big win there coming from Andrew Mop Jitsu Ebers. What a way to make that professional debut. And if you look, he has the who's who of St. Louis MMA in his corner for that big win. But we still have more fights to come, and we'll be right back right here at Shamrock Fighting Championships.